The exile and rise. The sentence had been passed without mercy. The species known as humans are hereby exiled from all territories under Galactic Concord protection. Their unpredictable nature and aggressive tendencies pose an existential threat to galactic harmony. High Arbiter Zinfar's voice echoed through the grand chamber of the Concord, his 4 arms raised in ceremonial pronouncement. Representatives of 200 species watched in silence as humanity's ambassador, Elena Reyes, stood alone at the center of the chamber, her face a mask of controlled rage. "You fear what you don't understand," she said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "You banish us because we challenge your stagnant order." "We banish you because you are dangerous," Zinfar replied. "Your species has been part of our community for merely 2 centuries, yet you have disrupted millennia of peace. The decision is final. The remaining human ships, those that hadn't been confiscated or destroyed during the 3-year conflict known as the Autonomy Dispute, were given coordinates to a distant, unexplored sector of the galaxy. The Concord called it the Void Expanse, a region avoided by even the most adventurous explorers due to dangerous stellar phenomena and a peculiar absence of habitable worlds. "May your species find peace there, or perish in obscurity," were Zinfar's final words as the transmission to the human fleet was severed. The human exodus was not a dignified retreat. It was a forced march into the unknown, a punishment designed to end in extinction. The Concord provided no supplies beyond what the ships already carried, no maps beyond the initial trajectory. The last human diplomatic ship departed from Concord space with Elena Reyes aboard, her final message to the assembly simple: "Remember this day. We will." The journey into the Void Expanse took nearly 3 years. The fleet of 800 vessels, carrying just over 11 million humans, lost 43 ships to equipment failures, cosmic anomalies, and despair. Those who survived the journey found themselves in a region hostile to life as they understood it. Stars burned hotter, radiation permeated seemingly habitable zones, and the few planetary bodies they discovered were locked in extreme conditions. Admiral Marcus Chen, formerly of the United Earth Defense Force, now commander of what remained of humanity, gathered the ship captains for a council. "We were sent here to die," he said, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display of their new stellar neighborhood. "But that's not going to happen. Survival required adaptation." The fleet established a nomadic pattern, harvesting resources from asteroids and gas giants, converting ships into self-sustaining habitats rather than searching for a hospitable world. Children born during the exile knew no life beyond the confines of metal corridors and recycled air. They were taught that the stars were not distant points of beauty, but navigational markers in humanity's journey to become something new. 10 years into the exile, the first significant breakthrough came. A mining expedition to a dense asteroid field discovered remnants of technology, unlike anything seen in Concord space. The artifacts, crystalline structures with organic interfaces, were neither mechanical nor biological, but something in between. Dr. Sophia Ikeda, head of the fleet's scientific division, led the research team that decoded the artifacts' functionality. "Their power sources," she announced during a broadcast to the fleet, "but not like anything we've encountered. They don't generate energy. They channel it from subspace." This discovery revolutionized human technology. Within 5 years, all fleet vessels had been retrofitted with the crystal energy systems, eliminating resource constraints that had plagued the exiles. With unlimited power came the ability to create, to build, to expand. The first permanent settlement, named Haven, was established on an inhospitable moon orbiting a gas giant. Using the crystal technology, engineers created environmental domes that filtered radiation and maintained Earth-standard conditions. It wasn't a planet, but it was the first place since Earth the humans could walk under an open sky, even if that sky was contained within a transparent barrier. Haven became the template for further expansion. More moons, asteroids, and planetoids were transformed into habitable outposts. The human population, which had dwindled during the early years of exile, began to grow again. Children born in the void expanse developed subtle adaptations, higher tolerance to radiation, improved night vision, denser bone structure, evolutionary responses to their new environment. 25 years after the exile, humanity had established 12 major settlements and countless smaller outposts throughout the void expanse. The nomadic fleet had transformed into a network of interconnected communities, each developing specializations in mining, agriculture, manufacturing, or research. Dr. Ikeda's team made another critical discovery in the 30th year of exile. The crystals weren't just power sources. They were remnants of an ancient network, a communication system that spanned the galaxy along subspace corridors the Concord had never detected. "We've been mapping the crystal resonances," Dr. Ikeda explained to the Council of Settlement Leaders. "They form pathways, corridors that connect distant points in space. We believe they're artificial constructs, created by whoever built the crystal technology." This revelation transformed humanity's understanding of their place in the galaxy. The void expanse, far from being an isolated prison, was a nexus point for these subspace corridors. The ancient civilization, which humans named the Precursors, had apparently used this region as a hub for their network. Marcus Chen, now in his 70s but still serving as admiral, recognized the strategic significance immediately. "We're not trapped here," he said. "We're positioned at a crossroads." The crystal corridors allowed for rapid transit between distant points in space, bypassing the limitations of conventional faster-than-light travel. Human ships, retrofitted with crystal navigation systems, could traverse distances in days that would take Concord vessels months. By the 40th anniversary of the exile, a new generation of humans had come of age, one that had never known Earth or the Concord, one that saw the void expanse not as a prison, but as their homeland. They called themselves the Void-Born, and under their leadership, the scattered settlements unified into the Terran Collective. The Collective was not governed like Earth nations or the Concord. It was a fluid, adaptable system where leadership rotated based on expertise and circumstance. The only permanent institution was the Memory, an organization dedicated to preserving the history of humanity's exile and maintaining watch on Concord space. Elena Reyes, now in her final years, addressed the first assembly of the Terran Collective. "They sent us here to be forgotten," she said, her voice thin but unwavering. "Instead, we have made ourselves unforgettable. We were exiled, but we have found our true home. We were abandoned, but we have discovered our purpose." As the 50th year of exile approached, the Terran Collective had mapped hundreds of crystal corridors, established outposts in distant, uncharted regions, and developed technologies that surpassed anything known to the Concord. Human physiology continued to adapt to the unique conditions of the void expanse, resulting in subtle but significant divergence from baseline humans. Most importantly, the Memory had maintained constant surveillance of Concord space through small, undetectable probes sent through the crystal corridors. The Concord, believing humanity contained or extinct, had continued its slow, bureaucratic governance of civilized space, unaware that the exiles not only survived but thrived. Admiral Chen did not live to see the day of return, but his final directive to the Collective's leadership was clear. "We will not return as supplicants or refugees. We will return as equals, or as conquerors." The path from exile to empire had been paved with hardship, innovation, and unwavering determination. Humanity had been transformed, physically, technologically, and philosophically. The void expanse had made them stronger, more adaptable, more united than they had ever been on Earth. As the first official Terran Collective vessels prepared to re-enter Concord space, Commander Lyra Chen, granddaughter of the Admiral, stood on the bridge of the flagship Remembrance. Unlike her grandfather, she had never seen Earth, never breathed air that wasn't filtered through environmental systems, never known life outside the void-born culture. "We're not going home," she told her crew as they approached the crystal corridor that would take them to the borders of Concord space. "We're extending our domain." The exile was over. The reckoning was about to begin. The return and conquest. The reappearance of humans in Concord space was subtle at first. Observer ships, utilizing crystal-based stealth technology, slipped through the border monitoring stations undetected. They gathered information about the current state of the Concord, its politics, its military capabilities, its vulnerabilities. What they found was a civilization in stagnation. In the 50 years since humanity's exile, the Concord had grown complacent. Without the disruptive influence of humans challenging established norms, innovation had slowed. The carefully balanced political system had calcified into rigid bureaucracy. Commander Lyra Chen received the intelligence reports with growing confidence. "They haven't changed," she told the Collective Council. "They've remained exactly as they were, while we have become something else entirely." The Terran Collective initiated contact not with the Concord central government, but with the frontier worlds, planets where Concord influence was weakest. On Draxus IV, a mining colony operated by the Avian Lyrians, a Terran ship openly landed in the main settlement's docking bay. The Lyrians, who had limited historical knowledge of humans, were initially wary but not hostile. The Terran delegation, led by Ambassador Kai Rivera, offered something the colony desperately needed: advanced mining technology that could extract resources without the dangerous conditions that had claimed hundreds of Lyrian lives. "We ask for nothing in return," Rivera told the colony's leader. "Consider it a gesture of friendship from the Terran Collective." Similar scenarios played out across 17 frontier worlds over the course of 6 months. In each case, the Terrans provided solutions to critical problems: medical treatments for a plague on Vesh II, water purification systems for the drought-stricken settlements on Nomad's Rest, defensive technology for the Eridani outposts facing pirates. Word of the mysterious benefactors spread through the frontier, eventually reaching Concord Central Space. When High Arbiter Xilon, Zenfar's successor, received the reports, he immediately convened the Council of Species. "Impossible," declared Councillor Vash of the Silith Dominion. "Humans could not have survived the void expanse. These must be imposters or another species entirely." "The genetic scans confirm their identity," replied Science Director Trell, her tentacles rippling with agitation. "They are human, though with noticeable evolutionary divergences." "How many?" asked the High Arbiter. "Unknown," Trell admitted. "They've been careful to limit their exposure. Based on the variety of ships observed and the breadth of their appearance across the frontier, we estimate a significant population, possibly millions." The Council's debate was interrupted by an incoming transmission. Origin unregistered, security protocols bypassed. On the central projection, the image of a human woman appeared. She wore a uniform of unfamiliar design, her eyes slightly larger than baseline human norm, her skin with a subtle iridescence that suggested adaptation to different light spectra. "Greetings, High Arbiter Exiled and members of the Council. I am Admiral Lyra Chen of the Terran Collective. We thought it time to reintroduce ourselves." The chamber erupted in chaos. Security protocols activated, trying to trace the signal, to no avail. When order was finally restored, Ceylon addressed the projection with forced calm. "How have you accessed this chamber?" "This is a secure facility." "Nothing is secure from us," Chen replied simply. "Not anymore. Your monitoring systems, your communications network, your defense grids, we have been studying them for decades while you believed us dead or diminished. What do you want?" Ceylon demanded. "Recognition. The Terran Collective claims the region you call the Void Expanse as sovereign territory. We claim the right to free movement throughout all spaces. We claim equality with the Concord." Councillor Vash leaned forward. "You were exiled for good reason. Your species is unpredictable, violent. We were exiled because you feared change," Chen interrupted. "That fear has weakened you while we have grown stronger. We don't come seeking redmission to your Concord. We come offering you the opportunity to establish peaceful relations with our collective." "Or?" Ceylon asked. Chen's expression remained neutral. "Or witness how adaptive humanity has truly become." The transmission ended, leaving the Council in stunned silence. Within hours, reports began flooding in from across Concord space, human ships appearing near key installations, crystal technology interfering with Concord systems, centuries-old security measures failing simultaneously. No shots were fired, no aggressive actions taken. It was a demonstration, not an attack. The message was clear. The Concord's defenses were obsolete against what humanity had become. High Arbiter Exiled convened an emergency session of the full Concord Assembly, all 200 member species represented. The debate raged for days. Some advocated immediate military response, others diplomatic engagement, still others capitulation to the humans' demands. In the midst of the deliberations, the Assembly Hall's environmental systems suddenly shifted. The temperature dropped slightly, the gravity increased by a fraction, the atmospheric composition altered subtly. Nothing dangerous, but a clear reminder that the humans could affect even the most secure Concord facility. A delegation from the Terran Collective arrived without invitation or announcement, simply appearing in the center of the Assembly Hall. 5 humans, each bearing the physical markers of void-born adaptation, slightly larger eyes, iridescent skin patterns, more robust physiques. Their leader stepped forward, not Admiral Chen, but an older man with the bearing of authority. "I am Director Marcus Chen I," he announced, son of Admiral Marcus Chen, who led our people into exile, grandson of Elena Reyes, who stood in this chamber and heard your sentence of extinction pronounced against us. A murmur ran through the assembly. Many present remembered that day, 50 years earlier. "We did not come to threaten, despite our capacity to do so," Chen continued. "We came to offer a choice. The galaxy stands at a crossroads. The Concord has maintained what you call peace for millennia, a peace of stagnation, of controlled development, of limited potential. Humanity has discovered another path." He gestured, and holographic displays activated throughout the chamber, showing the crystal networks, the subspace corridors, the advanced technologies the Terran Collective had developed. The species you call the precursors left more than technology. They left a warning. There are threats beyond the boundaries of known space that your carefully ordered civilization is unprepared to face. We found their records, their histories. The precursors did not die out. They were destroyed by something they called the convergence. And according to their calculations, the convergence returns in cycles. The next cycle begins within our lifetime. The assembly erupted in questions, denials, accusations of deception. Chen waited for the chaos to subside. "You exiled us to die," he said when silence finally returned. "Instead, we discovered the truth. Now we offer you a choice. Join us in preparing for what comes, or remain in your complacency and face extinction when the convergence arrives." In the following months, the balance of power shifted dramatically. Many frontier worlds, impressed by the Terran Collective's technology and fearful of the convergence threat, declared independence from the Concord and established alliances with the humans. Core worlds, seeing the writing on the wall, began negotiations. The Concord military, outmatched by crystal technology, faced a crisis of confidence. When the Silith Dominion attempted a preemptive strike against a Terran outpost, their fleet was disabled without a single shot fired. Crystal resonators simply shutting down their propulsion and weapons systems, leaving them stranded in space. High Arbiter Exiled, recognizing the inevitable, proposed a new galactic structure, one where the Concord and the Terran Collective would share authority, with humans guiding technological advancement and defense, while the Concord managed diplomatic and cultural affairs. Admiral Lyra Chen rejected the proposal. "The old order cannot stand," she told Ceylon in a private meeting. "The convergence will not be stopped by committees and compromises. Humanity will lead, or humanity will stand alone." In the end, the transformation was neither peaceful nor violent, but something in between. The Concord fractured, with many species pledging allegiance to the Terran Collective. Others maintained nominal independence but accepted human leadership in key areas. A few retreated into isolation, refusing contact with either humans or their former Concord allies. Within 5 years of humanity's return, the galactic political landscape had been completely redrawn. The Terran Collective, centered in the void expanse, but extending throughout former Concord space, emerged as the dominant power. Human adaptability, combined with crystal technology and the urgent threat of the convergence, created an irresistible momentum. Zinfar, the High Arbiter who had pronounced humanity's exile sentence, lived to see his worst fears realized. In his final years, confined to his ancestral estate on a now marginalized world, he received a visitor, Elena Rice's granddaughter, Admiral Lyra Chen. "Have you come to gloat?" the aged arbiter asked, his once powerful frame now frail. "I've come to understand," Chen replied. "You feared us because you sensed what we could become. You were right to fear us, but wrong to try to destroy us. And now you rule where we once ruled," Zinfar observed bitterly. "We don't rule as you did," Chen said. "We lead because we must. The convergence is real, Arbiter. The precursor's predictions are being confirmed as we speak. Strange signals from beyond the galactic rim, unusual stellar activity in the pattern they described. It comes just as they warned. And you believe you can stop what destroyed an even more advanced civilization." Chen's expression hardened. The precursors weren't destroyed because of technological inferiority. They failed because they were like you, static, unchanging, unable to adapt. We are something different. We were forged in exile, tempered by adversity. If any species can survive the convergence, it's humanity. As she turned to leave, Zinfar spoke again. "You've become exactly what I feared, a species that dominates all others." Chen paused at the doorway. "No, Arbiter. We've become what you could never imagine, a species that evolves faster than the threats it faces. That is why we will survive when the convergence comes. That is why the galaxy now follows where we lead." In the observation dome of the Terran flagship Ascendance, Admiral Chen stood looking out at the stars. The ship was positioned at the edge of the void expanse, where the first human exiles had arrived 50 years earlier. "Your grandfather would be proud," said Director Chen, joining her at the viewport. "From exiles to rulers in a single lifetime." "Not rulers," Lyra corrected. "Guardians. The convergence is coming. Everything we've done, the crystal technology, the subspace network, the transformation of the galactic order, it's all preparation for what lies ahead. Do you think we're ready?" She watched as a new fleet of ships emerged from the nearby crystal corridor, vessels of human design but crewed by a dozen different species, all united under the banner of the Terran Collective. "We were banished and forgotten," she said, "left to die in the darkness. Instead, we built something stronger than what came before. So no, we're not ready yet, but we will be. That's what humans do. We adapt. We survive. We conquer." The stars seemed to pulse slightly, as if in response to her words. Somewhere beyond the visible galaxy, the convergence was approaching. But this time, when it arrived, it would not find a stagnant civilization awaiting destruction. It would find humanity, forged in exile, tempered by adversity, and ready for whatever came next.